Hello, Miami Dolphins fans, and welcome to a very special breaking news edition of the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, because there is, in fact, big breaking news. Just when things were going kind of slowly and things had sort of slowed to a crawl, and I thought it would be okay to sit at home and have my lunch on a little break from work, suddenly, big news. So let's get right into it. I'll introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, I'm Josh Katzker, co-host of the Same Old Dolphin Show from right here at DolphinsTalk.com. With me today is Mike Oliva, also of DolphinsTalk.com, and we are here today to talk about the Miami Dolphins trading the number 3 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for the 12th overall pick in the 21 draft, as well as a third-round pick in 2021.
No, that's wrong. That's actually wrong. The Miami Herald said the third-round pick is next year, not this year.
Okay, so it's a third-round pick in 22, in addition to first-round picks in 22 and 23, which means that as of right now, your Miami Dolphins have multiple first-round picks in the 21 NFL Draft, the 22 NFL Draft, and the 23 NFL Draft. So we're going to, as best as we can, in a pretty quick breakdown here, try to talk about the implications of those of that trade for the Dolphins and what that means as far as the draft and what the Dolphins are going to do there. But Mike, your initial reaction to this big move?
It's a great trade. It's a great trade on all levels. There's no way to put a wet blanket on this trade at all. Number one, let's just clear the deck here. Watson, no longer to be talked about. I don't know what's going to happen with Watson with his legal issues and all that stuff. He will not be a member of the Dolphins because they no longer hold a pick that Houston wants. So Watson rumors, speculation, and all that stuff.
Mike, I got to interrupt you. Mike, because as we have gone live, the Dolphins have now traded with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have traded their 6th pick to the Miami Dolphins for the Dolphins' 12th pick and the 2022 first round pick. So now the Dolphins no longer have multiple picks in next year's draft, and they have moved back up to 6 here. The Dolphins they also involved in that swap. The Eagles gave the Dolphins pick number 156 for the Dolphins pick 123. So the Dolphins now back to 6th in this year's draft, back to only one first round pick in the 22 draft. They've also acquired pick 156 from the Eagles in exchange for 123. So just a swap of mid-round pick.
Here's what this tells you. Number one, like I said with Watson, well, I guess that might not be off the board with the pick 6, but most likely that's off the board, not happening. This tells me that the Miami Dolphins want one of these top 3 wide receivers in this draft. And it seems like they might not really care which one it is, whether it is Chase, Smith, or Waddle. And at pick number 6, they are set up perfectly to get one of them. Because what we know right now is pick number 1 will be a quarterback. Pick number 2 most likely will be a quarterback. Pick number 3 is going to be a quarterback. And I wouldn't be shocked if pick number 4 is a quarterback. But that's a whole different story for another day. But pick number 4 won't be a wide receiver. We know that because Atlanta has wide receivers by the bundle. So a wide receiver will be there at pick 6. Whether it's Chase, whether it's Smith, whether it's Waddle, who knows? So that's what I'm thinking now with pick number 6 for Miami. What this also does for the Dolphins, Josh, and then I'll let you jump in. What this also does is it sets Miami up with, as I've been saying on our podcast pretty much since late January, Tua insurance, in that we hope Tua Tagovailoa is great in 21. We hope Tua Tagovailoa is our long-term answer at starting quarterback this upcoming year. We hope we see enough from Tua Tagovailoa to know that's our guy. We're all set at quarterback. But if he's not, and if he falls on his face, and if he isn't the guy, then we have to have insurance in the 2022 draft to be able to get a quarterback. And say we go 8-8, or 7, or not 8-8, I guess it'd be 8-9, or we go 7-10, or we go 6-11 next year, and we're picking, 12th or 13th, and we're not in a spot to get a quarterback. Now we hold future first-round picks in upcoming drafts. Obviously, we just traded one away, but we still hold future first-round picks in upcoming drafts to be able to move up in the 2022 draft to get a quarterback of the future if Tua is not the guy. Hopefully that's not the case, but that's why it's called insurance, because you don't want to use it, but it's there in case you need it. And that's how the Miami Dolphins have set themselves up now moving forward.
Yeah, they've got just this plethora of draft capital. If there's one thing that Chris Grier has done extremely well since he took over as GM for the Miami Dolphins, it's been that ability to stock up on draft capital so that the Dolphins are in a position to be flexible when they need to be. And that's what they've done really well. And they've done it here. I mean, listen, we were getting ready to do a podcast about the Dolphins trading down to number 12, and we had been on the air for 30 seconds, and suddenly there's new news, and they've used that flexibility.
As some people are putting up here in our comment section, yes, Kyle Pitts is still in play as well. I think in pick 6, they don't make that trade unless they want a receiver of some sort, or tight end in Pitts, who is pretty much like a receiver. I don't think you're trading up for an offensive tackle because they just took 2 last year. What's the point of taking another? It makes no sense.
Well, and if you're going to take an offensive tackle, you're never trading down from number 3, because if you're going down behind Cincinnati, they're taking Penny Sewell at 5.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's not an offensive tackle. Plus, they took 2 last year, so that never made sense to me. Pass rushers, this isn't a great draft for pass rushers, so they could have stayed at 12 and probably got the guy they wanted. They didn't have to move up. So this trade up to 6 with Philadelphia, it only tells you there is someone, or there are 2 people to have in mind, as whether it's Pitts, Chase, Waddle, or Smith. You know, one might go to Cincinnati at 5, so you have to like 2. But they're probably thinking Cincinnati's probably taking an offensive tackle. Atlanta, nobody knows what they're going to do. So there's got to be at least 2 in mind that you like, and your odds are you're getting 1. So, yeah, let's be honest, who knows? They might make another trade at this point.
I know. I mean, once they get going, it's like Pringles, right? You can't just have one or something. Yeah. Once you pop, you can't stop. That's Pringles. But the fact is, the Dolphins, by moving back up to 6, it was going to be one conversation when they moved down to 12, which said, I guess they're not terribly picky about.
When they moved down to 12, I actually thought that they were putting themselves in the spot to take a running back at 12, because you can't take one at 3. And if you slide down to 6 or 8, that's probably still a little bit too early. But at 12, you can start thinking about running back there. Now at 6, that's probably not the case. But
no, at 6, the thing about being at 6, it is an absolute certainty. I mean, it is a nailed-on certainty that one of Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, one of those guys is going to be available. At least one of them is going to be available. So we're really looking, and there is a world in which all of them are available, and the Dolphins are getting their top pick of the bunch. And I think that's actually very likely, given the needs of the teams in front of them.
Cincinnati is probably taking an offensive line. Even if Sewell went 4, let's say, and Atlanta takes him, which I don't even know what their offensive tackle spot is right now, if it's a need or not. But let's say they took Sewell. Cincinnati then could take the offensive tackle from Northwestern, whose name slips my mind right now. I'm sorry. So they might go offensive tackle right in a row. If Atlanta takes an offensive tackle, Cincinnati might go receiver, which is fine because that's just 1 off the board. There's still going to be more for Miami. I don't know what Atlanta will do. That's the wild card here. I've been saying I think it's going to go quarterback, 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 quarterback. I think Atlanta, the problem now with that, though, I guess, is would Atlanta like to trade with the Panthers at 8?
Sure, that's a possibility.
I mean, they could if it's a great deal. Who knows? But I still think Atlanta, I know they just restructured Matt Ryan, but after this, who knows? It's going to be wild, but Miami at 6 is the main topic here, and I think they're going to be in a prime spot, like you said, whether it's Pitts, Waddle, Chase, or Smith. They're going to get at least one of them, because that's the only reason you move back up to 6. Otherwise, they could have stayed at 12, and they probably would have got one of those guys fall to them, but then you don't have a say in the matter. You're just taking who's ever left. At 6, you're getting your first choice, or at worst, your second choice.
And that shows you that they clearly have a pecking order there as far as what it is that they're looking for. They are absolutely have somebody that they want
above the rest. And nobody knows which 2. And anyone who tells you they know is lying through their teeth. Nobody knows which 2, but there are 2 of them that they clearly like more than the other two.
Now, there's also been a lot of noise in the past couple of days, in particular, immediately following his pro day, about Micah Parsons being somebody that the Dolphins have their eyes on. And because of the fact that the Dolphins didn't really bring in an edge guy in free agency, that's something else that is out there. It is something that is absolutely in play with the Dolphins at the 6th pick, probably not in play if they stay at 12. So that's something else that's there. I mean, really what you're talking about here with the Dolphins back at 6, it's really basically about taking the best player available for their needs at that point, because it seems unlikely at this point that one of the people that they are looking at, and at most one of the guys that they're looking at, is off of the table at 6, because we know they're not concerned about quarterback. So by the time they get to 6, they've still got basically everything that they want available to them, which is huge.
Yeah, when it comes to Parsons, I'm a huge fan. I am a huge fan. At 6, it's possible, because that's probably in the range he's going to go. And some people always mention the off-the-field stuff. Off-the-field stuff isn't created equal. If you read about his off-the-field stuff, it's not great, but he didn't, punch a female. He didn't get drunk. He didn't get caught with a gun. He didn't get caught with drugs. It was a hazing incident that got out of hand where the person he was fighting at the end pulled a knife on him. I mean, okay, it ain't great. It's not a great look, but it's also, there's worse crimes in the world here too. So that stuff doesn't faze me with him. And I'm usually a guy who would like to avoid all that stuff when it comes to red flags. That one doesn't faze me. It's possible at 6. That's in the range where you could get him. He will 100% be on the board. I don't know, though. It could happen. That is a possibility for sure. When it comes to the Miami Dolphins in the draft, Chris Greer, anything's possible. Now, Ian Rappaport, Josh, just put out that the Philadelphia Eagles tried to trade up to number 3, but they only wanted to do it if Zach Wilson was there. Well, if you're the Dolphins, you don't know for sure if Zach Wilson's going to be there. So They couldn't wait because you didn't want to lose the trade with San Francisco. So that's why they made the trade with San Francisco. But that's from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, that Philadelphia tried to trade up to 3, but they only wanted the trade, which would have had this drag out to the night of the draft for Zach Wilson. And I guess when the San Francisco trade went in, then Philadelphia knows there's no chance Zach Wilson's falling past 3 because he's going to go to either the Jets or San Fran. So that's when they decide to slide back from 6 to 12, which lets you know Philadelphia is probably not going to take a quarterback in round 1, I would assume.
Yeah. So basically the situation is the Dolphins overall dropped 3 spots in this year's draft and got a 2021 2022 third round pick, a 23 first, and then swapped some mid-round picks along the way. So really, really good stuff here from the Dolphins. And I think it puts them in prime position to make some moves or to make further moves and to really end up with the skill position guys that they want. Absolutely. And if it wasn't clear yet, and you still had lingering doubts about whether the Dolphins were now officially going all in on Tua this year, it's there now. It's happening.
Put to bed. It's 100% Tua is the quarterback in 2021. No doubt about it. And all the Watson stuff. Now, look, he still might go to the Jets. He still might go to the Panthers. He still could go maybe even to San Francisco. Maybe San Francisco, although now they have nothing else to trade except for pick number 3. So I would even doubt that. Watson has his issues, but it's not Miami's problem right now. Chris Greer's got 100 problems, but Watson ain't one of them right now. That's right. Pretty much how you can phrase it. So Watson, whatever it is with him. Miami's out. And to the Colin Cowherds of the world who thought Miami was going to take a quarterback at number 3, he can shut the heck up. That ain't happening. Yeah. And to the Dan Orlovskis of the world who just this week went on a little bit of a rant saying Miami should stick with Tua, this talk of replacing him. Well, Dan, nobody was ever really talking about replacing him unless it was for an elite quarterback. But now that's put to bed. So Watson stuff, never one more video, never one more conversation. It won't even probably be a topic on a future podcast on our website because there's literally nothing to talk about. But Miami now picks 6, and they were never going to stay at 3. And when I had on Jeff Darlington from ESPN, we sort of spoke about that for a few minutes. there was just no value with 3 for a wide receiver. You don't take wide receivers that high. Even 6 is a little bit high for a wide receiver or a tight end. It's a little high, but you can make the case since it's their number 1 need, Miami. 6, it makes sense to slide down some and get something else. Whatever you got, it just made sense. The fact they get a first-round pick in 2023 helps a lot. And
Definitely helps.
Yeah, it helps a ton because you got some extra picks in your corner now. And plus, let's be honest, with all these picks, Miami, it was always this case, but now it's just more picks. They can do whatever they want in this draft. If they want to slide up from pick 18 to pick wherever, they can move up. They want to slide down. They have control of rounds 1 and 2 of this draft to do whatever they want when you have this much ammunition. So if a guy they want is there, in middle of round 1 and they don't think he'll slide to pick 18, they have picks to slide up. If it's in round 2, there's a guy they don't think is going to make it to pick number 36 or pick number 50, they can move around now. More ammunition. Ammunition is power, and that's all this is. You have power there's no excuse not to get the guy you want. So last year when Miami, from all the rumors, they wanted a running back, and you went 1 pick before at the end of round 2, which never made sense to me because if you wanted a running back with all the picks they had last year, just make a move to go up a couple spots. They didn't do it. That can't happen again this year for whatever position. So we'll see, but the draft's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And now pick number 6, Miami's on the clock, and Atlanta is the key to Miami's future. What will the Atlanta Falcons do is something we will talk about the next month here because we know at Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati might take an offensive tackle regardless, whichever one of the two. So what Atlanta does really will dictate what Miami does because I think Cincinnati has to get an offensive tackle.
I think there's no chance they don't take Penny Sewell unless he's gone.
Even if he went 4, then you take the offensive tackle from Northwestern. Because I know some people like Jeremiah from the NFL Network have him as the number 1 offensive tackle. Okay, that's all personal preference. But if some people of his caliber, because he's a legit proven guy when it comes to the draft, have him as number 1 offensive tackle, then probably some other people do as well. And if you're Cincinnati, Joe Burrow got beaten like a drum last year, and that can't happen again. So I think they need either one of those guys, whichever one's there. But they could look for another weapon, but their wide receivers are pretty good. So I don't know, but I think Atlanta's really the key.
Yep, that's it. But I mean, the other part of this, and if you are, if you're a draftnik, if you're one of those people that's constantly doing the mocks and all of that stuff, you can probably, I think it's pretty safe to assume at this point that the Dolphins are locked in at 6
with 1
at this point. I would think that we're locked in there, and that's where the Dolphins are going to be picking. So we can really look ahead at what are the Dolphins going to do at that spot and how are they going to best address their needs at that spot. But again, this puts them in the position that, really, essentially, they're in a very similar position that they were in at the 3rd pick, except that they now have a lot of extra ammunition to move around next offseason in the next draft, or if they want to make a move for an established player that is out there right now, they've got extra capital to make that move with. So, I just don't know how you walk away from this situation as a Dolphin fan being anything other than thrilled by the entire prospect, because you're not in that much worse of a position at 6 as you were at 3. And I've suspected in recent days that I think there's a world where the Dolphins are not coming out of the first round with both a running back and a wide receiver. I still am kind of leaning that way. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily something that I want them to do, but I have a feeling the Dolphins are going to exit that first round addressing that skill position, finding that wide receiver or tight end. If you really want to put a tight end label on Kyle Pitts, you can do that. But I think they're going to take either a receiver or Pitts there, and then they'll, with that 18th pick, I think they may go a different way other than
pass rusher. I think
they may go edge.
And I know fans of the Dolphins, because Josh, we're on the same page, who are so in love with Najee Harris. And look, I like Najee Harris too, and I want Najee Harris in Miami. But I think there's a segment of this fan base that is so in love with him that if Miami doesn't take him, they're going to be heartbroken and then mad. And I've tried to warn fans on my podcast in the past few weeks. Najee Harris is great. Miami at 18, they could take him. One, he might be gone by then. Okay. But if he's not and they pass on him, I know this fan base is going to be mad. Also, Travis Etienne's really good too. And a lot of fans forgot that if Travis Etienne was in last year's draft, he probably would have been the first running back off the board. And once again, probably because we don't know, but many people think he would have been the first running back off the board. Travis Etienne's really good. If I'm the Dolphins, this is what I've claimed. And if I had all the power in this magical world where I can wave a magic wand, take your wide receiver or Pitts at 6, take a pass rusher at 18, and then I would try like hell to trade to the back end of round 1, and I'm guessing ETN, 24, 25, 26, 20, somewhere in that range. ETN or the kid from North Carolina probably will be there. Maybe Harris is there. I don't think he will be, but maybe, because I think the problem for Miami is with that first pick of round 2 at pick 36, the teams in front of them, like the Jets and stuff, they also need running backs.
Yeah, I don't think any one of those 3 guys is going to be there. Etienne's not going to be there. Harris is not going to be there. And Javonte Williams is not going to be there.
Yeah, you got Pittsburgh. You have a team like the Bills. You have a lot of teams at the end of round 1, first part of round 2, between 18 and 36 who need running backs. If Miami doesn't take a running back at 18, those 3 guys might be gone by 36, which if it happens, that's okay. Miami will still get a good running back. It might not be around 3 or 4, but they'll get a running back. And that's why when people – when we signed the running back a week or so back, people, he's no good. This, that, and the other. It's part of a committee. Whatever rookie Miami takes, they're not going to make him the number 1 starter who gets the ball 20 times a game. So if they still go out and sign James Conner or someone like that, don't flip out because he's just part of a committee, just like any rookie will be. Miami's not the type of team that's going to give a guy 20 carries a game. They're going to give one guy, if he's got a hot day, hot hand, they'll give him, maybe 10 or 12. And then you put in Myles Gaskin, he might get 8. And then you put in someone like a rookie, you might get 6. That's how this team is built. That's how this team wants to be built. So that's why I don't see them taking a running back at 18. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not trying to ruin anyone's day. I hope I'm wrong because I love ETN and I love Najee Harris. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Here's the genius of this trade, though. The genius of this trade and all of this extra stock that the Dolphins got just for this number 3 pick is that if the Dolphins decide to, they've already used it to move up once. They can use that 23 first round pick to move back up into the first. If they really wanted to, they could make that move. If there's suddenly a run and they see Najee Harris come off the board because they decided to go edge at 18, they see Najee Harris come off the board. They see Travis Etienne come off of the board and Buffalo, and it somehow gets to Buffalo who hasn't picked yet. I'm not saying that's going to happen. But whatever the situation is, if the Dolphins decide that Javonte Williams is the guy that they want, he's probably not there at 36, but they can move up to get up into the back end of the first round, like you said, to make that pick happen. And they have all of this draft capital and they can make it happen without losing what they otherwise would have had. So it's like they're going to come out. If there's a world where the Dolphins come out of the 21 draft, still having a couple of extra picks that they didn't have before, and with a deeper depth of top end of the draft talent on their roster than they would have had, if they had just let things play out like they were going. So I think this is just another really great move by Chris Grier on the heels of Pat Riley working just pulling strings left and right. We got 2 puppet masters in South Florida, baby. We got Chris Grier and Pat Riley. It's a good day to be a Miami sports fan, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's something else for you, Josh. Think about this. Night 1 of the draft. Number 1, quarterback. Number 2, quarterback. Number 3, quarterback. Atlanta takes whoever Atlanta takes. Just saying non-quarterback. Cincinnati takes a non-quarterback. You got teams like Carolina at 6. You got teams like the Broncos who might go, you know what? Whoever that last of the – because there's 4 top quarterbacks.
Trey Lance is the guy that is –
or Fields, whichever one's still on the board. we got to get him. You're Miami. You can maybe slide down to from 6 to 8 or 6 to 9. Still get the wide receiver guy you like, and maybe pick up more. And you're in the prime spot there because one of those teams are hot for a quarterback, and they don't want to risk somebody jumping them to get him. So we got to move up 2 spots to ensure we get the guy. We can't risk someone else jumping us to get the guy because there's be some teams in play. The other thing from this trade with San Francisco we haven't spoken about, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would put, if I had to bet $1, Josh, because I don't like to bet big money. Well, I do, but let's just say I don't like to bet big money. $1. Jimmy Garoppolo go back to New England now?
That would be something.
Because now you got the Patriots. We have Newton, Jimmy G, and Jarrett Stidham. It's not a horrible quarter. I mean, Newton I'm no fan of, but it would, with all the other moves they made this year, if they can fix Jimmy G, because he wasn't awful until recently. If they can fix him, the New England Patriots are players in the AFC East. I know nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to believe it. No one wants to see it.
Sure.
He would make the Patriots a playoff contender easily.
Yeah, if that is something that can be fixed.
That's
in
the
that
thing.
case.
Once again, who knows? But when he was there last time, he was damn good, and he did lead San Francisco to a Super Bowl not that long ago. So people like, okay, he had one bad year. It's like, oh my God, now he's terrible. Is he terrible, or was it just one bad year? You know what I mean?
And when you're not healthy.
Exactly. So
one little detail, Mike, about the 2022, about the trade with the Eagles.
What's that now?
Because the Dolphins had 2 2022 first-round picks. The trade that they traded to the Eagles, the first rounder that they traded was their own pick. So the Dolphins hold the 49ers 22 first-round pick.
Oh,
they
that's
traded
even
their
better.
own.
Oh,
So
this day gets better by the minute. That is,
So, yeah.
I think Miami's going to be good. And San Fran, if they're starting a rookie quarterback, playing Seattle twice, playing Arizona twice,
And
playing
exactly.
twice,
They're in the NFC West.
That's a last place team.
The Arizona Cardinals are making a hard push for a big time run this year. And San Francisco's got to go up against them in order to try to get through, just to even win a division and make the playoffs. That way, we know the NFC is loaded.
I think now with Matthew Stafford, they're going to put up more points on offense, and Sean McVay's a heck of a coach still. That's a last place team with a rookie quarterback. San Francisco's a last place team, and we own their pick. In 2022, we own their pick. That's good. Holy cow! This is amazing.
I'm telling you, it's really great.
No way to knock this trade. If you're a fan of the Dolphins and you don't like this trade, don't root for this team anymore. There's no reason for you to root for this team. This is a great day for fans of the Miami Dolphins.
It was just draft picks. Draft picks. Everybody off-season champions. Blah blah.
Yeah, we screw it up anyways. But we stink.
Yeah,
I know.
Listen, folks. Today's a day to be happy.
Be happy. Be optimistic. If you can't today is an Ian Berger day. Ian, if you're watching, Mr. Positivity, Mr. Glass is always half full. Optimism, and there's, you don't need to be that today. Everyone can be that today, even if you're the most negative Nancy fan of the Miami Dolphins. Optimism, because this is a great day.
Absolutely, it is. So thanks for tuning in for this very quick breaking news episode of the DolphinsTalk.com podcast. We'll get this up on all of the normal channels. So you may be listening to this in a podcast form, but we're going to get it turned around for you as soon as we can. As always, an invitation to make sure you're following us on Twitter at Dolphins Talk, at Amplified to Rock. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's the best way to get notified of our live streams when breaking news such as this happens. So make sure you're following us there. The Facebook page is I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan on Facebook. Those are all the usual channels. So make sure you stick with us here at Dolphin. Oh, and visit the website. Can't forget about the website. So make sure you visit DolphinsTalk.com each and every day. We've got constantly new podcasts, new columns, pieces popping up on the website all the time.
Mock draft went to hell. Now we got to have all new mock drafts.
Seriously, we're going to have all new mock drafts. So make sure you are with us on DolphinsTalk.com. So thanks again for joining us, everybody. Thanks to everybody who's commenting in the comments. We see you. We appreciate you. And we'll do our best to get to respond to as many of those comments as we can. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Go Dolphins!